All right, so I'd like to call this Redistricting Committee to order. Good evening. How are we all doing tonight?
Good.
Excellent. I know you're eagerly awaiting to see what you've gotten yourself into. I want to just start by saying that this meeting is being recorded, and so right now your microphones are off. They're red, so when you're going to talk, if you could just turn the button on so they're green, so that the people at home can hear you. All right. We're going to start with some introductions. I'm Julie Miller. I'm the high school principal here in Stoughton. I have been in Stoughton now as the principal for my 13th year, and I'm excited to be chairing this committee. So if you could just introduce yourself, what your role is, and we'll go around the table in this direction.
Hi, I'm Catherine Weiss. I'm the school committee chair and also a Gibbons Elementary parent.
Hi, I'm Megan Texera. I am a CPAC board chair and a South School parent.
Hi, I'm Erin Matthews. I am a 5th grade teacher at South Elementary.
Hi, I'm Jillian Savoy, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at South Elementary.
I am Lens Hercule. I am a parent of South School.
Hi, I'm Jake Dorr. I'm the principal at the South School.
Hi, I'm Kitsette Jeffrey, a parent at the Gibbons Elementary School.
I'm Rob Cancelleri, the principal at the DAW and a parent of 2 Hanson Hawks.
Jennifer Hilton, I'm a parent at the DAW.
Amy Sareva, I'm the assistant administrator, special education, pre-K to 5.
Elizabeth Catramone, teacher at the Gibbons.
Charlotte Green, parent of a Hanson school.
Christine Peavy, principal of the Hanson.
Hi, I'm Ellie Rake. I teach 1st grade at the Hanson.
Kate Pearl, school counselor at the Wilkins and parent of 3 former Hanson Hawks.
I have 2 microphones. Hi, Katie Monahan. I'm principal at the Wilkins.
Amy Quayle, I'm the EL multilingual director, pre-K through 12 for the district.
Hi, I'm Amanda Souza. I'm a parent at the Jones Early Childhood Center.
My name is Dennis Rigo, director of facilities and grounds for the schools.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Gulia, principal of the Gibbons Elementary, and I have 2 students at the high school and 1 at the middle school.
Ed Clark, director of special education.
Jennifer Picanso. I am a parent of a child at the Gibbons.
Fran Borelli, parent of the Gibbons.
Chris Shannon, school committee member and proud parent of a Black Knight.
Joe Baeta, superintendent of schools, and I am an ex officio member of this committee.
Thank you. Well, welcome. We are going to start this evening by organizing, so that means we are looking for a vice chair and a recording secretary for this committee. So we'll start by taking some nominations for vice chair. Is anybody willing and able to be a vice chair? If it helps, I'm hardly ever absent, so.
Jake?
Okay. Any other nominations? Mr. Dorr is on the floor.
Ooh.
Anyone else interested? Okay. All those in favor of Mr. Dorr, please vote aye. All right. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Any abstentions? All right. It's unanimous, my friend. Excellent. And how about for recording secretary? This would be, jotting down the basic notes of the evening. They can be bulleted. They don't have to be full sentences or a full essay. Just getting down the basic gist of the things that we do and what we talk about. Ms. Sareva is nominated for recording secretary. Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
And it'll be an Excel spreadsheet.
Any abstentions? Okay. It is unanimous. Congratulations to Mr. Dorr and Ms. Sareva. All right. I'm going to hand this meeting over now to Dr. Baeta for some remarks and information.
Great. Thanks, everybody. First of all, thank you for joining this pretty large group. It's probably one of the biggest committees Stoughton's had in a long time. And the intent of that is to make sure that we have as many different views and reviews going forward. I put together a small, really quick PowerPoint for you, and I'll send all of this via email as well so that you all have it for your records. But we have 2 expected delivery dates, really depending on what happens in the future. And the future meaning Plan A and Plan B. Plan A, the building of a new elementary school in Stoughton, takes this committee's work out at least 2 fiscal years. In other words, we would probably not be meeting towards after April of 25 because we'd have a lot of time to be able to get information out to the school committee. So that's why you see 2027 up there, that we would be giving the school committee options by 2027. The new building wouldn't be opening until at least probably the spring of 29 because of how projects work out, unless we get really lucky with winters and all that stuff. The second part is that the school committee is looking at options, plural, and you'll see that redistricting committees typically provide school committees at least 2 significant options depending on what the goal is. In this case, a new school, or, as you know from our sending the information, the modulars. The modulars are tricky because it actually closes down an entire side of town, right? The modulars are the South School closes and all 300 students are moving, plus everybody else that's going to be moving because you're redistricting at the same time, okay? So both Plan A and Plan B, or options A and B, both have pretty significant amount of impact. One being, if you will, a heat zone and where do people go because you're opening a new building and potentially closing at least 1 building, if not 2. And the modulars, you're literally closing 1 school. That would be the South. And the Wilkins would remain as an elementary school, not a preschool, and all those other things that you probably have heard through the years, or through at least the last 18 months. The idea of redistricting is typically because of growth within the district. We do have increased enrollment. We have 56 more students in the district this year. So just in the 2 fiscal years that I've been here, we're well over 140 students that have been added. And we have a significant churn. The churn is how many kids are in and out. We are now well above, or just above 12%. So 12% of our population is constantly moving in and out of the district, including some of our immigrant families that are here for certain parts of the, and then go back to their homeland for farming season or whatever it may be, then come back and so on. We also have the opposite. We have basically certain countries that have their winter, and the students actually come here for schooling. Typically, part of our Brazilian community, we see a spike in January and February of students that come to Stoughton Public Schools and then leave and then come back and so on. We also have to look at the key issues of redistricting, which are actually grounded on equity and access. We cannot create schools of poverty, schools of minority status, and so on and so forth as a community. In other words, we have to distribute our students as equitable as possible, which is going to make it even more difficult when you're looking at our schools. And the last part is looking at the long-term fiscal planning of, if we close the South School and the Jones School, move the preschool to the Wilkins School, we are actually physically closing 2 schools, probably never building an elementary school in town for the next 50 years. You're looking at renovations and additions of elementary schools, predominantly the 3 left, which would be the Hanson, the Daw, and the Gibbons. That would also set us up fiscally for a new middle school, which we all know is at dire straits, or is struggling. In the modular classroom situation, our biggest headache is really going to be operational budget, because we're closing down a side of town and completely moving 300 students in some way, shape, or form. You know, you no longer have the potential that you're saying at the South. There is no South. So operationally, in terms of transportation, we have a lot of concerns about what that means, and that's already a budget line item that's in excess of $1 million. The the other part of it, of all of this is redistricting, is that there's a lot of people that don't believe this is going to happen. This is happening as of tonight, no matter what. It is happening. It's just a matter of, is it sooner or later based on the building project? What we want to inform people of as a working group is we're gathering information. And so what I did is I looked at the most recent. I'm not going to play a 55-minute video for you. I'm going to send it to you. It's your actual homework between now and January. We do not have a December meeting. We won't need a December meeting, but we will have the January meeting. So it gives you time to look at the Plymouth redistricting plan, which was very, very interesting, but also very well done, but it also had its controversies. And so this video actually takes them through what all of the things that they looked at as part of their redistricting plan, which was not to open modulars, for the record. But they had to redistrict because of growth, just huge population shift, which, by the way, we're starting to see at Stoughton. We're smaller, but we're going to see some numbers. We're projected to grow to as much as 4,300 students by 2034. We're at 3,800. That's 500 more kids in the school district if everything lines up. That doesn't include projections for current condos that are being built, current individual homes that are being built. We got some rumors about North Stoughton. Again, there's been a lot of rumors through the years, but there are some developers up in North Stoughton with some lots that are up there and building more condos or apartments. And so the impact of that could be significant to Stoughton Public Schools. If you look at it, it's a kind of a perfect storm that's taking place in Stoughton. We are a community that people want to move into. If you live in Stoughton, some would say it's very expensive. If you live outside of Stoughton, you say that's a pretty good, reasonable price of a town with good services and good schools. It all depends where you come from and what you're looking for. And so when I speak to our Haitian population of students that are moving from Mattapan, Hyde Park, JP, which I have done, they will tell you, I just bought a house in Stoughton and my mortgage is less than my rental property was, right? And so, or my rent is less, and I'm close to a train, and that's good schools, and the streets are safe, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Interesting enough, U.S. News just announced that both the South School and the Wilkins schools have met the top 40% of elementary schools in the nation. That just came out. That's the second year in a row. So great job. But we believe our elementary schools are all great schools and doing really well. And if you haven't heard, the high school this year received some significant recognition for its MCAS scores as being one of the top high schools in the Commonwealth for achievement, and also received a Bronze Star from the AP for the first time in its history for its AP results, including the number of students taking the AP from various backgrounds, not just the scores. So things are moving in a pretty good direction, no matter what Facebook says. The other part that I think is really important, again, I'm not going to show you the video because there's, you're adults. There's no need to show you a video. So our next steps in this project right now is to sit down, get cozy, watch the video. It's actually a pretty decent video to watch. There's a lot of things that are probably you're going to say, okay, I get this, and there's probably going to be a lot of more questions. And that's the idea for the homework, is to really come back and all of us really take our talking points and say, oh yeah, I got that one, so on. So we might do a little bit of an exercise around that. And then what subcommittees do we need out of this? We have specialized programming. We have ELL and special education, right, that we have to take a look at as part of all of this, especially if we're looking at modular classrooms. It's a little easier when we're looking at a new building, because we've created a new building that has spaces for our specialized populations. But when you're looking at the modulars, that's a whole different thing. Today, I did a show with Jake on the South School. Our library at the South School is at the elbow of kindergarten going into second and third grade. It's in the hallway. That's where our library is. Our South School library is now 3 learning spaces. one larger and 2 smaller. Our counselors are in one case, a closet that has a fan, don't know how we pass fire code, has a fan that lets air in and out because there is no system in that closet because it was a closet. And attached to that closet is now a little sound machine that the counselor has to put on so that when that fan isn't working, people can't hear what's being said. It's deplorable to be a Stoughtonian like I am and see this stuff, to be quite honest. And the last part is, how do we involve the community and the staff in all of these discussions? We can survey, we can meet, we can go out and hold meetings, we can go to PTO meetings and just get input from folks. That will be part of the work of this working group, is really to just get as much information as we can, turn as many leaves. We will also be adding, and might have to pull it at town meeting, we may have an article as well to bring in a third-party consultant for the purposes of advising us as it pertains to the plan of where are the kids and where are they going. Because as a group, we can't just think about Johnny as at 2nd grade. Well, if this plan doesn't go into effect for 3 years, Johnny might be in 5th grade at a different school, or Johnny is no longer in elementary, he's now at the middle school. So we need a third party that can really take the geo study of all of this, that you can't do on paper, pen. It's literally, it's a geo software that literally puts all the bodies where they are and then calculates where they're going to be and all of that stuff. And you'll see the major company that did it is actually involved with Plymouth. They are number 1 in the Commonwealth for doing these types of things and hired by everybody to do it. The homework I already said is the 2 items as goals for the next meeting. We would come back, really start to think about what that says. One of the things I think it's really important, and I've said this to the chair, is it's really important to put every sticky you can think up on the wall. Just put it up there. It may not end up there, but we want to make sure that we're really discussing those core items that are important. Some of you will go back to your PTOs and your parents and your meetings. It's okay to do that. This is the reason why we set it up this way. We made this a public group. It's not a working group, it's a public group. Meetings are recorded, we have agendas, we take minutes, we take votes, and we did that purposely so that people can't say anything that we didn't, the next meeting we'll have public comment. Anybody wants to come in and make a comment, get ready. You may. And so that's the general gist. We want this to be a community-wide, as much information as possible. We will be bringing in, and he doesn't even know it yet, so I won't use his name, but we do have folks at Town Hall that we need to come in when we're looking at things like traffic, in terms of where would be the flow of our transportation on either a modular situation or a new school. So plenty to do. The reason why we're going to try to stick to a 90-minute agenda is that it forces the chair to really say, you know what, that's enough of that. We need to move to the action items that we want to do, because there will be a lot of opinions. And, of course, you can always go beyond it if people are like, you know what, we need to finish this part of the meeting tonight. The goal is not to be here for 3.5 hours. It's literally 90 minutes, get it done. We also anticipate that we would like to do some of these meetings virtually or hybrid. Especially in the wintertime, it just gives us a lot of opportunities. Many of our staff that are here, my administrative team, it's an opportunity to just go home and work from home, which is great. For some of you, I know you're running off of the train or trying to feed the kids, drop them off, Tuesday night basketball or whatever Mr. Cancellari's doing. And it's better than Friday night, I guess, right? Yeah. All 5'11" of you. And I think one of the last things is really, we want this committee to be a working committee of views and thoughts and ideas, and that just means respect, no matter how crazy it may sound. The fact is, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of moving parts. The most significant part is Doing some of the work between now and April would be good, doing tons of hours of it, and then we know we have like 3 years to not worry about it, would kind of make us feel pretty good versus trying to get everything done between now and April. We don't need to get everything done between now and April. To be quite honest, we don't have to get anything done between now and April except gather the information, make sure we have all the information that we want. The committee, as you can, will be asked in small groups to disperse throughout the Commonwealth. It has to be, unfortunately, I think for some of you, it'll be work day, so you might not be able to go, but I'm going to ask Jeff if he can come along for some of this. Jeff, who does our Pickett, who's our communications director. We're going to do some elementary modular classroom site visits to other districts that have already gone through this process. Both, in this particular case, these are temporary modular classrooms. They're not permanent. So we're looking at what does it actually look like. Anybody here been to O'Donnell Middle School's modulars? Okay, those are temporary. They're on year 24, I think. And the reason why they've lasted is I was on the school committee when those modulars went up. Tells you how old I am. The modulars came in at about $800,000 at the time, and we had $1 million from town meeting. And so to the former director of facilities, Joel Harding, and then this then superintendent Tony Sarno, they decided to enclose the facade of those in brick, and I think it's one of the reasons why they've actually lasted, is because they're enclosed in brick. If they hadn't been, I don't think we'd be where we are with the New England weather, because they are temporary ones, they're not permanent ones. And then lastly, hot off the presses is the South School Working Group Committee's executive summary. I received it tonight. So that's that group that's been working on the idea of a new South School versus modulars now versus the cost. Their executive report, which is 2 pages, is now available. I will send that to you directly so you have it and you can have it as part of your information, but it has become a public document. Questions, thoughts, ideas, concerns? So I'm an ex officio member of this board, so I will be attending some of the meetings, but not all of the meetings. And the reason for that is I'm the person you're going to be feeding information to and giving you further feedback based on the information I get from my school committee, right? So they're the final decision makers of everything that's going to come forward from you folks, all of the options. Then they're going to have to do more work. They're going to have to do public hearings on what does this look like, and really take it to the next level of folks saying, we have these 2 options, what's best? When we're talking about our children, I'm a father, when we're talking about our children, it is incredible special interest, right? It's our kids. What does this mean to me? Really, I don't want my kid in a modular. This is not an option. You know, it doesn't mean your kid goes into a modular, by the way, it just means it's another classroom space. So there's going to be, I think, once some options come out to the school committee, there's going to be a lot more fire that takes place in terms of people's comments about what does this look like. Again, if it's a new building, it's a redistricting, it's a little bit of an easier thing. The comments I'm getting today in the last few weeks is, really, we're going to send 100 more plus kids to the Gibbons School? When's my kid eating lunch? 9:30? Or at 2:15, right before they get on the bus? People don't understand, in general, the running of a school. We're secondary people. We've been around these schedules all the time, but elementary is very, very, typically 3 lunches, 2 lunches, depending on the size of the school. It's at a reasonable time of the day when kids are supposed to be eating. There's a lot of questions around just adding space, classrooms, in this case modulars, to buildings whose cafeterias, gymnasiums, and kitchens in particular are not built to have 500 kids in the building, i.e. the Gibbons or the DAW, which would be pushing 500 kids. So a lot there. There's a lot of self-interest there. Like, okay, how's my kid? You're saying we're going to have 4 lunches and my kid's going to be eating lunch at 10:15? They don't get home until 3 o'clock? What is going on? Oh, we're going to add an afternoon snack now? Right? That's what's going to happen when these discussions come forward. And we haven't redistricted. Our last redistrict is when we closed the Jones School. By the way, I voted no on that. I'm very proud of my vote because it was my elementary school at one point, so I didn't want to close it to become a preschool. I wanted to keep it, but that's the last time we did redistricting. So that's in the 90s, and prior to that in the 80s, because we were growing by leaps and bounds over in South Stoughton, really the South School District, because it was always a division between, do you go to the South or the Jones? It wasn't as much the Gibbons until later. And then when the Jones closed, that's when the South and the Gibbons started to see some real shifts. And that's really what this map, that's what this map, yeah, bang, sorry boss. This is our most recent, it's color coded as you can see. So you have each of the districts. Our population zones, so that you know, our heat, and I'll show you a map that DRA did. I'll show you a map that DRA did for the new school. Our heat index right now, which is from 2022, if I remember correctly, our heat zone is right in here. This is where our heat zone is. So that, in other words, more population of students, and again, a lot of apartments, condos, that type of stuff. South Stoughton, what you're seeing is turnover. So in the South School area, it's house sales. It's older families moving in, moving out, early, younger families moving in, is what you see there. One of the things I'll ask the town for, and we'll have a NESDEC report as well. Our latest NESDEC report will come out next year. NESDEC is the New England School Development Council. Basically what they do is they take all of our data and they say, we're projecting you to have declining enrollment, increased enrollment. And how many kids are going to be in pre-K to 5 versus K to 5 versus 6 to 8 versus 9 to 12 versus pre-K to 8 versus K to 8. And you get all of these different statistics and they basically project out where you're going to be, which they've done once for us now. This will be the second year. So in another year, we'll have 3 years of data, which really will tell us, is this good data or not? I anticipate that the data will continue to show some movement and moving up on those projections. But we'll have those projections as a piece of information for us so that when we're looking at moving either with the new school or with modulars, you're looking at, okay, when this building opens or when these modulars open, we have to worry about 28 more kids being here than the actual number that are here today. Or we have 28 less kids than we have to worry about. Or, grade 3 looks like it's out of control. It's growing by leaps and bounds. Grade 4 is down. And elementary principals know what I'm talking about because there are years that they take their staff and move them up or they move them down depending on the enrollment instead of just adding staff. That's the big picture. Questions, thoughts, ideas, concerns?
The video with Plymouth, they're a lot bigger than us. Is there somebody that we could look into that's more our size?
Yes, and feel free to do it and share it. I'm going to create a working group email, send it out to everybody so that everybody's getting the same information, and that's where we'll hopefully we can share stuff. So if you have any information, that's part of of finding out where these things are and aren't. There are a number of districts that have moved to modulars temporarily. They were actually building a new high school, or they were building a new elementary school. So what they did is, instead of having an renovation, they took all the kids in the renovation section, just modulated them to another part of town for 2 years while the addition was being put on. I believe Winchester was one of those, but don't quote me on that. I will do the legroom to get you some information on other districts that have done it. I'll also do some work on getting you some of the companies that do this stuff. We have to go out to bid, so we can't just choose the company that we want. It is a required procurement process. But there's a limited number of companies that do this work, and a limited number of companies that do this work and want to do it in the Northeast, simply because they're used to working 12 months, and up here there's a little bit of a shutdown time that can take place.
Is there an idea already of what
No.
that would look like?
No, there isn't.
Because it's going to happen no matter what, right?
Right. It's going to matter. So the issue becomes, we don't really know anything until April. That's the first part. The second part is we have to think about when are these things opening, and what's going to happen is the data is going to ebb and flow until literally like 6 months before. So you're going to have a vote of the school committee probably a year ahead, but that ebb and flow is going to happen. A perfect example could be 3 houses in your neighborhood just sold and 6 kids moved in, and they're supposed to go to this school. Does that really happen, or are you making further changes? I'll give you an example that's a little weird. all of us have voting precincts. My street where I live, I'm on Chemung, which is a cut street. The odd side votes, most of us on the odd side vote at the Hanson. The even side votes at the Gibbons. So for us in education, it would be, where is the threshold? Where's the stop? Is it odds and evens on a street? Hopefully not, because we want kids to have their neighborhoods, right? And that's a goal, right? That would be a goal that I'm sure this committee would want, is like, hey, no, we're not doing that. But if you live on Bay Road, there is a cut to the Hanson or to the Gibbons, right? So there is a cut. Now, that's not a traditional neighborhood, if you will. You know, it's a double line like mine is. But you have to think of those. So no, there isn't. We also have a huge discussion that needs to take place that is very legal, and that is special education. And the other one is EL, because we have a growing EL. We're at 740 EL or former ELL students. When I got here, we were under 500, and just 2-3 fiscal years ago, we weren't even at 300. So we have a huge, diverse linguistic population that's moving in service delivery. Yes, Dave?
So just to clarify, is the vote for the new school, is that going to happen? I know there was a petition out there that had thousands of signatures to revote, but is this up to town meeting, or where are we at with that?
Yeah, so the petition is it's a citizen's petition, which automatically goes to town meeting by the statute of the town, if you will, the town charter. And the petition is asking for support of town meeting to then give that as a message to the select board that they should put it on the ballot. So the last time around, you might have had elected officials who voted no on the project, but voted yes to put it on the ballot in their role. Or even, and it wasn't vice versa, because if I remember correctly, it was a unanimous vote to put it on the ballot. Right now, we have a group and another group. One group has clearly articulated during public comments that if you vote to put it on the ballot, we're coming after you. In other words, we're gonna go after the elected official and kick you out because you didn't do, the voters have already spoken, is the language they use. And you have some yes folks that are also upset about that, like, you need to put this back on the ballot. So there's a lot going on next week, but there's even more going on because the ballot question is on a regular town meeting in April, regular town election in April. It's not a special election like this one was just for the school, which means there could be a lot of folks, depending on the decision of the select board, that are actually taking out papers to run for select board. They're the ones under the pressure right now, not the school committee, thank goodness. They're the ones that are going to face the pressure. And so the idea was that town meeting would provide and get information from a petition, make a decision, and then town meeting is saying, yes, put it on the ballot. And then they have to make the next decision.
Yeah, so that the select board still needs to officially make that move to put it, and it would be on that April 1st ballot, but it is not yet on the ballot.
Hence the reason why I don't want to work you to death over the next few months, because we have a lot of this other background stuff that's taking place first. Yeah, it's about 23% of the entire population of Stoughton that are registered voters, and the difference was a little over 600 votes no. So, Politics 101 says you need to swing 1,200 votes. You need 600, you need 1,200 more to come out and support you. That would be kind of like a winning formula. You need to double the loss difference. That's typically what you do in politics.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Baeta.
Thank you.
It's very informative. So you are going to send to the committee the PowerPoint, correct?
Yes.
And the video?
Yep.
Okay. And also, you mentioned the executive report?
Yep.
Okay. So you can look forward to receiving that email with all those items in it?
We get it Monday.
Perfect.
No homework this weekend. I don't want to be 10 minutes long.
That's the policy.
That's the policy. You had to say that.
All right. Our last item is to add anything at this time that you would like to discuss in the future at these meetings, or perhaps information that you would like us to start to collect. So if there are any items that you can think of at this time that you would like to put on the agendas in the future, or information that you feel like you'll need in the future. Yes.
Thank you. Two things I think might be helpful. One, since we're kind of largely a group of strangers, acquaintances, some of us know each other, some of us have working relationships with one another, it might be helpful to establish some group norms in terms of how we want to approach our work and how we want to interact with one another, just to ensure equity and respect. And the other, I thought it might be helpful for us to identify success criteria. How will we know if we are successful in our charge and what we do?
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
That's great.
Other? Yes.
Dr. Baeta, would you also share with us that heat map that you had mentioned?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the heat map is from DRA when they were looking at the new project, so it doesn't encompass any decisions except for that.
Okay, anything else? Yes.
Sorry. At that same presentation, I thought I had it, but I don't. They also, when they were talking about the considerations for redistricting, they had a lot of really helpful data, that would guide like performance data, ethnicity, special populations and things of that nature, I think would help inform the group.
Thank you. We will track that down. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I feel like I'm giving myself homework now, but I think to add on to what Mrs. Texera said before, I think looking at how other districts similar to ours are just organized in general, how they've redistricted, but then also how those communities are drawing lines. Like, I don't know how that process works even in the town that I live in, which is adjacent to this one. Mm-hmm. So I think it'd be interesting to try to get some insight from some of those other communities as to how they've done it.
Yeah, I just also wanted to mention, I don't know if it's fruitful, but the structure of the district. In other words, is K-5 what we want to do, or is it K-2s, 3-5s, and what does that mean? As you know, today's world, there are many districts that do that for their own reasons, and it could be space, it can be best practice, philosophical. There are districts that will die that 5th grade belongs in middle school. There are districts that will die and say absolutely not. There are districts, I came from a pre-K3, a K3, a 4-5, 6-8, 9-12. So we had a true intermediate school of 4-5. And we had the preschool within one school of K3, and then the other side of town was just a K3. So the preschools throughout town all went to one school. There are districts that have multiple preschools, especially the large ones, embedded within pre-K3s or pre-K2s. There are districts that have early childhood centers, which means pre-K and K, and then your elementaries are 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. Don't know if those are discussions that we also want to have. It broadens us a little bit more. That scope would only be for option B, the modulars. It would not include option A unless there was a clear understanding that the new school has to be a K-5, but there aren't other K-5s. There are other things. That can be a little bit tricky. But in option B with modulars, you could have that discussion.
Excellent. Anything else? All right.
Everybody's favorite pie.
I know. So before we take a motion to adjourn, we do not have a meeting on December 12th. Our next meeting will be on January 9th. It'll be at 6 o'clock. We may do a hybrid virtual meeting at that time, but we will certainly let you know and send out information ahead of time. I will work with Dr. Baeta to collect the items that we need and make sure that they come out to you beforehand. And you will have homework for the January 9th meeting. Will be to watch the video once we get it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing, too. We will choose probably because of my colleague here Chris mentioning norms. I think norms is something you have to do when you're physically together. It allows for a lot of collaboration and all that. So we may want to take the January meeting and make it in person, and we will absolutely hold it in a physically larger room so we can break out and do some group work and really talk about what norms are, which is really an activity that you should do together, and then you come together and then you really discuss, okay, these are our norms. We've done it as a leadership team. I've done it with a lot of the committees I serve on. It's a great idea, especially when we can get into really hot discussions, because it means so much to so many different people within the community when you're talking about kids.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Shannon. Seconded?
I think this meeting's
All right.
I'll give that to Dennis Rigo. Just because
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much for your attention tonight.
6:42.